Now, I want to really spend some time to talk about freelance business design. I actually told you from the very beginning in the first video that when you start a freelancing business, you are actually becoming a warrior without a king. You are doing this for yourself. You are doing this for your own future or your family's future. You're doing this because you want to free yourself. You want to gain the financial freedom and time freedom for you to do what you really love doing, enjoy doing, and gain back the time and space you have for whatever you love doing. I mean, I still remember when I first started freelancing, the pure reason I had back then, the simple reason I had back then was I did not want to work for anyone else anymore. I mean, that's a very radical thing for a very young dude to talk about. But then again, that was me. But I thought that's what I wanted. And eventually, after freelancing for about 7 months, I think, since 2008, I decided I wanted to go back and gain more experience. That's why I worked for another company for another 1 year plus before I started my agency. What was the biggest challenge I had was I did not have the discipline and I did not have the right mindset, which is, I think, in order to grow, let's talk about now we are starting a business itself, you need to have the right mindset. That's why I actually brought this up. This is a quote from Seth Godin, I actually attended his very long time ago. He actually had this like very forward-thinking freelancing program that I actually joined. He coined this. He said, when you are starting a freelance business, when you finally decided to, take charge of your own destiny, you are now a warrior without a king. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be a king. I'm just saying that now you're a warrior without a king. So we need to, build the right mindset. That's why I want to spend a little bit of time to talk about the right business mindset, which is very critical because if you do not understand how business run in the long run, you might hit into a lot of different challenges like I did. That's why, I want to spend a little bit of time to look at this. You see, one of the biggest problem for a lot of, let's say I was an employee back then. When I was an employee, I was very comfortable. Well, all I do is I just show up in the morning and then, I just finish my work in the evening. I go back home and every end of the month or beginning of the month, I get my salary and that's it. I'll do just what I was required to do and I wouldn't really have much initiative to do more because I don't have the need and I'm not required to do that. It's just, I'm not incentivized to do that. It's a very important thing that whenever we do something, we need to feel the push and the urge of, the drive to do that thing. But then again, when you are coming in and starting up as a freelance business owner, even as a simple terminology here, as a freelancer, things change. If you don't take charge, if you don't start looking at, resuming a lot of roles, like even now you are a marketer right now, you're not just a graphic designer, you're not just a copywriter, you are supposed to be a salesperson as well. So all these are important things that you have to acquire. But then again, let's start from a very beginning. First mindset you need to have here is you need to start aiming for long-term success instead of short-term gain. As an employee, you're always looking at what are the short-term gain that we can get. Yes, I'm not saying that all of you are looking for, like all of us are looking for like short-term gain, but some of us are actually aiming for long-term success. That's why a lot of us would go extra miles to do different things. We may not do it in the job that we are having, but we are doing this for ourselves. We are doing this for our future. That's why you take up this role. So aim for long-term success is actually very important. Okay, this is where you cast your sight to at least, like 3 to 5 years down the road. You always have to remind yourself about what you want to become in 3 to 5 years down the road. Like, let's say if you're starting today, you're setting a goal for yourself saying that, 3 years down the road, I want to be full-time. And then start thinking about this. If you want to be full-time, how much do you need to make? So let's say now if you're making like 8,000, let's make it 10,000. If you're making 10,000 ringgit a month, if you want to quit your current job and become full-time 3 years down the road, in 3 years time, you must be able to make like maybe 15,000 in 3 years to come. All right. 3 years later, you want to make 15,000 per month. So how many clients do you need to get in order to make you 15,000 per month? And then after that, how do you acquire those kind of clientele or client base for you to be able to liberate yourself to become what you want to become in 3 years time? So we work backward then, okay? So maybe like, I mean, to be frank, 15,000 is not a lot of money, okay? If you are a, like a freelance designer, if you can get like maybe like 5 clients, okay, to give you retainer contract, where they will pay you 3,000 ringgit a month, every month, to retain you to do social media posts for them or to do some videos for them. I mean, that's already good enough for you to be on your own. But in order to get these 5 clients that pays you every month, what are the work that you need to do to establish yourself to be able to do what you want to do in 3 years time? So maybe you need to start building a portfolio right now, and then you need to start doing a lot of like gigs maybe, and from there you want to qualify and build relationship, because in order to get 5 clients, you probably need to work with like 500 so-called like normal gigs in order to nurture these 5 to be, to trust you enough to go long term with you. So we need to always work backward, but you wouldn't know the ratio without starting. You wouldn't know how many clients you need to meet in order to get 5 that willing to pay you for long term. And yeah, you won't be able to find out if you don't start the journey today. That's why here is where we start. We don't need to talk about, the 5 clients 3 years down the road. What we need to do is like, we need to start looking at how can we build 1 client at a time, satisfy 1 client need at a time. And then how do we start learning how to build relationship with these people? So that's why aiming for long-term success is very important. Have a 3-year goal, 5-year goal, and always focus on those goals. Now, the second thing is when we are actually starting out on Fiverr, sometimes, especially if you're starting out generally as a freelancer, sometimes we have no choice but to, like to lose first and win later. We are not always winning in life. I think everybody knows that. But how do we actually, like pull through when we are in the losing position? I'm not saying that losing per se. Like sometimes you may not make that much. Like for example, if you're creating a gig on Fiverr, maybe you're new, talk about like, wow, create a logo for like $50, $100. That's like dirt cheap, man. I can't do it. But hey, I'm not asking you to stay like $50 or $100 forever. You're starting out. You need to start somewhere. You need to start gaining recognition. Well, no matter how good you are in your company, in the job you do, it's only within the company. It's only within the comfort circle that you are with. Outside there, the world outside doesn't know. So that's why you need to start proving yourself to the world that you are. You deserve whatever you believe you deserve. So we need to start 1 thing at a time. Lose first, win later. Like seriously, in the later module, I will teach you how to lose upfront, which is fine. And we can quickly win back, within a very short period of time, which is totally possible. It's about building a journey, that we'll talk about that. But you need to have this mindset to be, you need to be willing to lose first to win later. And then this is a very important thing. When you are in business, when you're starting freelancing, you are in business, unless you have a partner that you can work with, that this fella is going to go out and deal with all those clients for you, manage those clients for you, that you don't need to face people. But if you do not have that person, you are your client manager. You are your customer success. You are the person, you are your, customer relationship officer. You are the person who is going to, maintain the relationship you have with every single client that you come across to build long-term relationship with them for the long term. So sometimes we need to focus on the relationship building over profit making. But here's the thing. I want you to have a very clear bottom line. When I say this, some people would think that, meaning, let me tell you this very upfront. When you start freelancing, when you start taking clients, there will be people who come to you and say that, hey, instead of $50, why not you just do it for me for like $25? I have a lot of friends, if I'm satisfied with this job, I'm going to refer you to all of them, and, you'll be flooded with jobs. I promise you. And this is exactly what I mean by false promise. People who say they will, refer people to you will never do that. Take my word for it, okay? So you need to be very firm and say that, look, $50 is the lowest I can go, all right? Because this is the so-called introductory price. It's only available for the first time. If you take this up for the first time, and after that, there's no longer this price. So yeah, this is the lowest I can go. Be very firm about what is the bottom line that you're setting for your business, and do not let these people step into your borderline, because they will always do their best to push. And here's the thing, eventually you'll meet some people that just do not deserve the respect, and they're just not the right people to work with. So you need to also learn how to say no to these people and say goodbye to them. You see, there are so many people out there. Do not cling on some businesses or some people that doesn't really deserve your attention. So this is what I want you to start looking into as you're starting out as a freelancer, as a business owner. You need to start with the right business mindset. Do you need help with your freelance marketing or freelance business building? Scan this QR code. Let's have a brainstorming session over a Zoom call.